You see, I gotta tell everybody something. You think I just have another guest here today? It's not true. There's only few people on planet Earth who have still alive, I say, still alive. Only a few people on Earth today who have presidential charisma, the flair of Central America, the heart of a lion, and the goalkeeping hands of the gods, of the Greek gods. Today, we have Senor Alex Moraes. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Out of Space.
Yes, this is great, man. I feel like I'm gravitating right now.
That's right, man. We're speaking across different oceans. You're across the Atlantic. I'm over here in the southernmost of Africa. You're there. Are you where? You're still in Missouri?
Yes, sir.
You're in the staggering
Now,
heat of Missouri.
yeah, I mean, above 90s, 90 degrees Fahrenheit or more.
How's the humidity?
It's pretty high too. Pretty high too.
Yeah,
70,
you know what's
60.
so interesting, right? I remember when I was in Missouri, I used to tell people that, and this is also odd for people who were that side when we started. I used to say, "Man, it's so hot," and people were like, "But you're from Africa. How can you say this is hot?" I'm like, "Listen, listen. In the southernmost part of Africa, we've got dry heat. This humidity thing is ridiculous."
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful.
I mean, I've never when I went to St. Louis, it was the first time that I have ever stained my white shirts with yellow armpit stains. First time in my life. I didn't know what it was. I thought I was dying. I thought there was something wrong with me. I caught the Missouri disease. I don't know what was happening.
Man, it's yeah, I tell you something else. It's something else, but you know what? We're adaptable, and I have adapted. You adapted when we were back in college, and
That's
we
right.
survived. Now you're back in the motherland, South Africa.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's right. That's right, man. It's good to be home. It's good to be home. What's happening your side? You know what's happening in Missouri? What's happening in your life? What's happening today?
So many things, Neo. I want to say, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. I've been going back and forth on a few episodes. I've seen a couple of minutes of some episodes live with some friends who also went to college with us. Some of those are from Africa, South Africa. I've seen some from Zimbabwe. I've also seen Lorena. Lorena was probably your last guest. She was my high school classmate, same senior generation class. We came together with Angel Suazo also to Lindenwood, and yeah, it's really cool to be here and to share with everybody. Um, at the same time, there's so much that has been going on from going from singlehood into engagement into marriage and now being a father. So, yes, being a father changes your identity. People don't think about this, but you are who you are, although your identity can shift and not change. Actually, that word kind of has negative connotations, but
Mm-hmm.
shift or improve and better your identity. Now my identity has shifted as a father, and I have different priorities.
Mm. It's like you said, it is a shift. It's a mental shift, a paradigm shift. Because now, even though you're living life with your wife, now there's a whole another human being that you have to cater for, and you can't make a decision without catering for them.
But he's a joy. He's a blessing. My wife and I lost our first baby in our first pregnancy. There's something
Oh
that
wow.
most of you guys who are watching, maybe you're not parents yet. Maybe you want to be sometime, not now, and that's okay. But there's something that our society doesn't talk about much, and that is um, miscarriages.
Yeah.
Miscarriages are real. Miscarriages are painful, especially for a couple like my wife Maria and I, we have always been passionate, apparently, since we were kids, to be parents. And when
Oh
we
wow.
had that opportunity, 3 months later, we went to check on our baby for the first time, the ultrasound, and there was no heartbeat. So there was grievance, and hopefully, God is so good. For all those who don't know, I'm a Christian Protestant, believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And so I apologize if comes across as religious, but
Yeah.
we just believe that those babies go to heaven. You know, we found comfort in the book of Psalm in the Old Testament. David lost a child; it was born dead, but he was rejoicing. People were like, "Are you crazy, man? Why are you
What's
dancing
going
here?"
on here?
And he goes, "Well, my son is in heaven." So that was the beautiful promise we got a hold of. And 3 months after losing the baby, we got pregnant again. And
Oh
today
wow.
we have today Alexander Maximus Moraes. He is our inspiration.
Maximus.
And he's almost 1 year old. In August 7th. August 7th, he'll be turning one.
That's fun. That's a phenomenal story. You know, can I tell you something about you? You know, you're first and foremost. Let me say you're a human. Let's start there. That's where I want to start. You're a human being.
Okay.
But but I think what's important. The reason I mentioned that is because um, you are a person. If someone knows you, for the people who don't know you, you know, you're always known to be somebody who tended to be continuous. No, no. Let me start with the word extremely passionate. Then following passionate would be someone who's just extremely happy and who's bathed in joy. So you know, a lot of the times, you know, I've spoken about friendship on this platform, you know, and I'm definitely guilty of this. A lot of the times we have friends and you know family and loved ones who always appear to be positive, happy. They're always the person to kind of light the room, but it's so easy to forget that these people are only human too. You know, they cry, they're sad, they get angry. You know, they have days of envy or jealousy. They're you know like any other human. And you know, like when you said you know when you're speaking about the abortion, which I wasn't aware of, you know, immediately what came to my head was wow. At that time, I can imagine how sad you must have been in the moment, not after you've had time to digest, but like in that moment, you
Sure.
know, you must have been terribly sad. And it's just a picture I can't imagine. But because it's a picture I can't imagine, and I'm having this moment of thinking about in that time, it breaks my heart. But at the same time, as you continue to speak, it reminded me of, you know, why you are who you are. And you know, and the first thing I thought when I thought as you were speaking was, wow, this the second, as much as the first child was a blessing too, you know, the second child was also a blessing. And your son's names also exonerate, not exonerate, but exemplify the you know the character, the blessing, the story. You know, and it's a beautiful thing, and you're 100% right. We don't talk about miscarriages, and you know why? It's because it's such a painful thing.
Yes.
But I can say now, you know, I haven't spoken to you as much. I haven't really caught up with you as much, so I'm probably still behind. But I can easily say that, you know, congratulations. You know, you were put through a test. You know, I'm not as religious as I probably was prior. You know, I've got different views now, but I still believe in a higher power, in a higher meaning, in a purpose. Everything happening for a reason. You know, there was a mountain put in front of yourself and your wife, and you
Sure.
don't need me to say it, but you got to the top of Everest and you're enjoying a blissful wind, a beautiful sunrise, you know, fresh air and life's beauty right in front of you. A gift, sir. A gift.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Thank you so much for your sympathy, for your empathy. Um, yeah, it's so important to try their best, even if you're not in that stage of life as a parent just yet, Neil, to at least have that gift to try to have empathy for that person. Let me tell you something. You've known me for a while now, although we haven't been consistently in touch, but we're still friends.
Mm.
And it's like I just saw you yesterday. But one of the things that I'm always sure I've always been sure about myself is just displaying positivity no matter what. So displaying positivity through adversity, especially through adversity,
Especially.
because it's so easy for me to just cry over spilled milk. It's easy for all of us really to give up, to complain. I'm someone who sure sees the problem, but I'm starting to look for solutions. And I think that in this case, and again, this is because of my belief system, my biblical belief system, but faith was something real for me that I could get a hold of. If I didn't have that faith there, I think I would have been holding on to anything. And remember, even though I'm married to my best friend, my beautiful woman, Maria, and we have each other, and marriage is about that allegiance, first allegiance to each other, not to our parents, not to our brothers, sisters, to each other. Um, but that doesn't mean that we are the ultimate rock because we're still imperfect. That's why we have our faith as the core center of our marriage. And that helped us a lot. And yes, last thing I can say about this is, why do I refer to those two instances? Having a pregnancy, losing that pregnancy, and having another pregnancy and having a successful child born in the world. Those two are blessings because without this child being gone, we would have never mathematically gotten to know Alexander. Correct. I mean, Alexander's pregnancy was just so important to be right after losing that child. And correct. We haven't. And we're blessed. So, yeah.
That's phenomenal. I know I know somebody who also lost a child, not prior to birth. It was just after the baby had been born. I'm not too sure how much longer. And I just remember, the devastation around it because there's a bit more context. And then, another baby came, at some point, and it was such a beautiful thing to see, them being blessed with the second child. Because it was one of those things where you weren't too sure if it was going to happen again, where they're going to try again, where they're going to give up, where they're going to drown in what had happened. Those are things you don't know because that's the battle between them and themselves. So it's a remarkable battle. I hate to use the word, but just for lack of a better English, it's a great victory, in the challenge of life because we all go through these mountains, these hurdles, these things that we have to really succeed and climb over. And it's so easy to give up and fall into the darkness. It's so easy. And,
Yes.
and some people just never get out of that. So I'm grateful, even though it has nothing to do with me. I'm absolutely grateful that you're here, you're still yourself, maybe even a stronger version of yourself, and that's beautiful to see. And one thing I'd like to say to you that someone said to me, and it's something that still resonates with me, on a probably a year-to-year basis. I think about it once or twice a year. Don't change. You know, don't change. Remain who you are as a core, fundamentally. Because Alex, I just feel like the world, we're not meant to live horrible lives, but horrible things happen in people's lives. You can get robbed, miscarriage. You can lose someone you love dearly, close to you. Kobe Bryant, what happened with him, for example, and the wife and the family being left. Horrible things happen. But we need love, we need faith, we need hope. These are things that resonate with all mankind. A lot of times people lose touch with it. So don't lose yourself moving forward. Because anything, there's still the bad things that can happen, but don't forget the blessings that we tend to forget. We're overcompensated with blessings. Just a lot of them we don't see them, or we don't actually recognize them in the moment.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Funny story. Maybe just to shift the conversation as well. Did you know?
Yeah.
And I hope your wife hears about this. Did you know I coined a term called Morias? So do you remember? Taking out the archives. Do you remember in varsity? I think it must have been first year. In first year, in our freshman year, um, you were the guy. You the connection, the plug. If we wanted to find the good party, the man you call is Marias. So
Oh my
so
God.
after that first year, I used to say, I actually started. I used that term as an adjective, I think, or an adjective to say, you, or rather now and say, you're Marias. If you're Marias, it means that you're connected to different things for a specific moment.
So, right. Yeah. I mean, hey, so if part of the funny story is this self-proclaimed Christian has some interesting past or something, absolutely, brother. Every saint was a sinner. Every sinner, right, has a future. So yeah, absolutely. I made a lot of interesting decisions. I had different priorities, but yeah, it was fun. I don't regret it.
I
I
love
don't
the
regret.
word. You didn't say mistakes. I thought you were gonna say mistakes. I love it. Decisions.
No,
Absolutely.
no, decisions become mistakes. No, mistakes. It would be a really dramatic mistake for me to pull a gun and go out there and shoot at someone. But I don't think those are mistakes. See, I spent one of the things probably you don't know is I decided for myself, and this is a few years ago, in 2017 to be precise, to go to a professional counselor.
Really?
Because yeah, I have an interesting background with domestic abuse. My
Mm.
stepfather who passed away and who my mother divorced before he passed away, which was great. 17 years of marriage, of living with that father figure and who was really abusive. So I went to counseling at the age of 25, I would say, beginning of 2017, to try to really get to know myself deeper. And that's when I realized that some of my past actions are not mistakes because they have helped me become who I am today. And I don't
Yeah.
regret them because one thing that I can leave you with is, and everybody watching is, you got to love your story, guys. Come on now. Love your story. It's what makes you who you are. And yes, I was the Moraes the first year. I was excited, dude, because I thought
We all
I'm
were.
coming from Honduras. I'm leaving my family, my parents away. I'm studying abroad in America. I went to an American style school while in Honduras. I'm Americanized, man. I want to experience it all. I want to do the American pie parties. Dude, it was way better than those American Hollywood movies
Hundred
because I
percent.
literally saw chicks in bikinis fighting in chocolate pudding pools, dude. I mean, it was hilarious. It was hilarious.
Do you remember? I don't know who. Somebody had a car. It was like an old, like silver, like 10-seater or whatever. I remember when we called you to get into to my first. I think it was my first party, one of my first parties, and you're like, "Get in!" And we squeezed into that 8 or 7-seater, going. Whose car was that?
Woo! Dude, that better remain unknown. We cannot be public.
Oh, okay, 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 okay. I'm with you. I click, I click, I click.
It was my I think I want to say it was my roommates. I had a roommate who's an American roommate, my first roommate, my first year, and he was all about weed and weed and weed and weed, and that was cool. But he had this vehicle, is like an old vehicle, but it had the space, man. That was, to me, that was the Rolls Royce, the party bus for that night, man. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Oh man, I always tell people, like, so my girlfriend, she's mad at me because she hasn't seen, or yeah, she actually hasn't, and also my cousin, not just her. Let me not single out my girlfriend. Even my cousins, they're angry at me because they haven't seen me at my worst, and they know because Ben has told some stories, so they know that
Ben,
my
if you're
worst.
watching, if Ben is watching, Ben, you're awesome, dude. I'll never forget you. I met Prime Minister Neil Cotton through Ben.
Ay, 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 El Benjano.
Oh
Hey,
man,
we could tell a lot of stories about the brother. He's a
that's
he's
right.
a he's a living legend.
He truly is. He truly is. But let's refocus.
Yeah, yeah, no, Ben. Oh yes, sorry. Back to the story. So yeah, they've never seen me at my worst, in quotations.
For
Because
sure.
after I came back from the States, even during the holidays when I came back from the States, I never went anywhere near as hard as I did when I was up here. And I think the reason is because, that specific time in our life, you know, I regret nothing of it because I also had the best time of my life. But I learned a lot about myself, in those moments. I learned what doesn't work for me. I learned what I like to drink. I learned how to be responsible for myself because I knew even though there was Ben and other guys, if anything happened, it was only me. And I didn't want bad news going to my mother. So I learned a lot about responsibility, how to have fun, how to let loose, but still be responsible. Now I'm always the dedicated driver. I take a lot from my experience there, you know. I always say it was the time of my life, and I'll never go back. I've always said, oh, maybe I should go back to Lindenwood for a master's, but I realized that it'll never be the same because
No.
what made that time precious wasn't the place. That was part of it, but it was the
Sure.
people and the
The
moment
people.
of time. The people were
Yeah.
glorious. I'm so blessed to have been exposed and made the acquaintance of people from Honduras, from Brazil, from Canada, other places in America, from different countries in Europe, Asia, Mitsuri. I always reference him. Galilu. I met people from my own continent who I would not have met.
cannot, we cannot go on without mentioning Ben or Kalilu,
You
man. Come on.
cannot. It'll be a sin.
Kalilu. Kalilu.
You know what? I've been pondering about it. I don't know why I've been thinking about it too much. I have to have an episode with Kalilu here. I need to
Oh,
I
come
need
on,
to
man.
bring him on
Come
here.
on, man.
Uh,
You're missing out.
The whole world doesn't know Kalilu like we know Kalilu.
No, he's awesome. He's amazing. He's so calm, kind of. He's a calm kind of soul,
Mm.
very warm spirit. I mean, yeah, it's just trustworthy too. You can
Yeah.
just come to him, and he would be always with open arms. It's great person. I miss Ben Kalilu. There are so many others, but
Oh, so many
absolutely,
others. But talk to me.
absolutely.
Now we're adults. I see that for me, one of the passions that you always showed was in football. And I still see you, heavily involved in football. So talk to me around that as well.
I mean, well, let me give you context about why football
Yeah.
or soccer. Yes, unfortunately, it changes here in the United States, right? But anyways, um, when it comes to football, as a player, I played it competitively, meaning in clubs, for 15 years back home in Honduras.
See.
That's Honduras, Central America. Beautiful country, middle of the Americas, surrounded by the Atlantic, Pacific, Bay Islands, baby. Come on, make your booking, guys. But anyways, so for 15 years I played, and I started the academy when I was 8, and then before the academy at 8, I would play it on the streets, whatever street soccer with my parents, my friends. Then at age 8, the academy. And then I have my first break of being in a academy to club, and from that point on, I was 13. I was coached by today one of the best goalkeeper coaches in Central America, Jorge Arturo Sanchez. If you're watching, Coach Profe, thank you for everything you did for me and so many other goalkeepers. He made me the goalkeeper I was. Thanks to him, I ended up being in my under 17 youth national team as the Honduras goalkeeper back in 2004, I want to say, 2005. We played against Central American teams, Guatemala, Costa Rica, etc. It was a great experience. And then I ended up playing third, second, and a preseason with a first division team. That's when my dad gave me an opportunity. He was given a contract for me to be in a second division of that team who has been around for over 70 years, Vida, Club Deportivo Vida. But I said no. I said, the contract says, son, that you can play second division next year and then you can be moved to first division. But I thought Honduras soccer, football doesn't pay us well, and I want to study abroad in America. So I was offered the opportunity to study abroad, Lindenwood. And Coach Carl, saw me in a couple of those friendship cups because I was saving for Honduras. And I made a couple of crazy saves that first year because I was still in shape. And he said, well, what's going on here? What's going on? We need goalies, But I said no. I said no because, first of all, when you play first division football, you realize that the ball moves really quicker and you're barely able to see it. I remember that making a transition from third, second to first division, I just saw 1, 2, 3 passes, switch, goal.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a different level. So at the college football in America, slower. There are some good players, great players that come here, but it's not in the coaching in here. It's not the greatest, really. I mean, there's some great, really great, excellent coaches, but coaching in general in the U.S. is not as great as in other places. So long story short, that's my player career. But ever since 2014, which was my junior year in Lindenwood, I started to coach. I remember a group of girls, they decided to do the first indoor female or women soccer league at Lindenwood, and they wanted me to coach them, these Latinas. So I coached them, and we ended up being eliminated in semifinals, which was fine. It was not bad.
Yeah.
And then I was coaching recreationally in this international organization, the YMCA, which
Yes.
So the YMCA, that was recreational coaching. And then ever since, I've been studying. I have my national license with the United Soccer Coaches Federation. And I have a couple other licenses with other organizations. And now I'm director of coaching of a youth club. And big news, East Central College, that's a junior college. I'm their goalkeeper and assistant coach. So if you have some South Africans interested in playing here, send them over because we're recruiting.
Absolutely, I will. You know what? I don't want to dive too deep into it because we can go all night on this specific topic. But I feel like one day what I want to have is I want to have a foundation that facilitates scholarships or tours, etc. to young South Africans, because a lot of the times a lot of South Africans, it's almost similar to America. You'd be surprised, in terms of how things are. They don't have that exposure. Some people really never leave their city or their state or the country. It's always like, it's a circular South African lifestyle, which like many other countries. But just because it's my country now, I want to be able to facilitate those things. That exposure does so much to the mind. It just, I mean, if I talk about Lindenwood, when I was there, my mind took me elsewhere. And part of the reason why is because I met people like you. I met so many people who come from different countries who I've maybe seen in movies, like people from those countries, movies, TV shows, games, whatever. And I have this perception of how they are. And then you meet them and you're like, wow, you're just like me, just a different accent. It's crazy. You you'll be surprised. You see, like if you, I could probably meet Will Smith tomorrow. Maybe not the best example right now, but yeah, he's the one that came to mind. But like I could meet Will Smith tomorrow, and he's like one of my uncles. In
He's a
terms of
he's a cool dude. He's approachable. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, if you think about it, no matter what their status is, no matter whether you have fame in here or whatever it is, you're in poverty today. because you can have money today and not have it tomorrow.
100%.
We're all human. We're all human. We have commonalities. There's common ground. So absolutely, nobody makes you better or worse. People in this successful, whatever society claims to be successful, fame or whatever bubble, that doesn't necessarily correlates with happiness.
Yeah.
Happiness, joy, and success do not correlate. Sometimes they can produce the other, but you can be today right here, right now, no fame, no out of space amazing show, and still be content with who you are.
Correct. Absolutely correct. And tell me, speaking of presidential, what happened to wanting to be the president of Honduras? Is it still in the pipeline, or is like, you know what? You know what? Never mind.
You're having fun here, aren't you? Well, to be honest, I always wanted to pursue a political career. Statistically speaking, most of us, when we go to college, whether abroad or right there in our home countries, we study what we're passionate for. I studied 3 majors: economics, public administration, political science, later on my master's. But when I was in my bachelor studying my degrees, as you can see, it's economics, social development, how to use or manage your scarce resources in the most efficient way. Public administration, how to work with transparency and structure within the government sphere. In political science, getting to know the nature of government, whether you have a republic, democracy, or whatever, and understanding the different branches. I wanted to incur in politics. I still would like to, but it's not my top objective anymore.
Yeah.
I think I'm passionate for it, but I've come to understand that today I am a father. Today I am a husband. Today I have my commercial real estate job, and I have my soccer coaching career building up on the side. So I'm multiple things before that particular politician stage. I guess what I'm trying to say, Neo, is I've learned that things, if they are meant to be, guys, they will happen.
Yeah.
They will line up in this crazy cosmos and will happen. So if it happens, welcome, because I've always wanted to happen.
Hey man, it's not like all politicians in the world are our age or 30. Generally the average age of politicians tend to be a lot older. After they've already built a career and lived their lives, etc. So who knows? Like I would really, I have this love for my country of, I'd love to be president of South Africa, but at the same time, I don't want to be president of South Africa, because I also have a basic understanding of what it entails, and it's not just I sit on the throne and I make decisions. It doesn't work like that.
Let me tell you, when you start you gotta one thing that I have to say to everybody: professionalism is key. What do I mean by this? You gotta professionalize yourself, no matter what is it that you do. Take me, for example. Soccer, football. I'm professionalizing myself. I take care of myself. I try to be in good shape. I'm trying to educate myself, because football, like anything else, it's consistently and rapidly growing and transforming itself. So you want to be evolving with it. So I study to be professional in that field. So same with politics. I have the desire, but I gotta study and cultivate that passion, right? And water that garden, so I can be prepared whenever I have that opportunity.
Correct.
So this point is to try to say that you reminded me when you said I want to be, but at the same time I don't want to be. That's a good sign, folks, because when you study Plato and Aristotle, you start to understand that the best leaders are those who do not want to lead necessarily. There is a need for leadership, but if you don't want to, maybe those are the best ones. Because when you truly want to and are promoting it, ask yourselves, why is this person really that crazy or desperate to be in the spotlight? Is it for their own benefit, or is there a collective uh, blessing to all of us? So just food for thought out there.
Hmm. Hey, we're always getting knowledge and dimes on this show, but that's what it's about. You know, the reason I started this show, in all honesty, it first started off as just me wanting to catch up with my buddies across the world. But I also thought, I always complain about not having enough like good conversations, or not good, but genuine ones that flow, and people don't really get to see that enough. What we see in the world is a lot of fakeness, staged reality TV, scripted things. Instead of it just being like, this is what like everyday people just talk about. These are the things we speak about. These are the things we're interested in. This is what's going through our minds. This is what's happening in our lives. And there's a lot that's happened. I mean, like if I was to think about myself now versus freshman Carter, oh my gosh, young man. Uh, but that's the cycle of life. Now I think about marriage life. I think about parenthood. I think about if myself and my future wife bring someone into this world. What am I going to teach this child or these children? How are we gonna exemplify our lives? How do we better ourselves? How do we project ourselves? Not project, but how do we live exemplary for our kids as well? A lot of things have changed.
Through action. Just think about it through actions. And sorry to interrupt it,
No, no,
but
you're right. You're right.
it just captivated me to share with you. Um, I do wanna unveil this fallacy that I've always heard growing up. I heard all this married folks telling telling you, you should do this and you should do that. And whenever we were engaged, all these married couples, I recommend doing this and you should do this and you should do that, and all these things that, okay, thank you for the advice, but we were not even asking for it. And then we become parents and we become married, and continuous advice from all these people who want to stick their nose, and some of them, and that's okay. It's again, it's wisdom, but we're not necessarily asking for it. When we ask for something, it's because we're not sure what to do, and we ask someone who we trust, who we respect. It can be our pastor, it can be my mentor, it could be my mother, my father, although they're not together. It can be my wife's parents, they are together. And just because some marriages have been together for long doesn't mean they're successful or joyful. Okay? What I'm trying to say is, with my son, I always wanted to be the father I did not have growing up.
Hmm.
My dad left home, left my mom. My mom raised me and was a mom and dad at the same time. And my dad and I have a beautiful relationship. It ended up being a weekends father thing. And now that I'm an adult, we have a beautiful relationship. However, my story is he wasn't there at the beginning.
Hmm.
So that motivated me. And himself told my wife, my dad said, just want you to know that your husband always wanted to be a dad. Since he was 6, he started to say it. And so what am I teaching him? I mean, first of all, he's 11 months old. He's just saying dad, dad, ba, mama, whatever. But these kids are absorbing everything.
Yeah, they
They are
are.
absorbing. So through actions, here, I shared my drums, I drum, he laughs, and I'm just trying to influence him, not by forcing him, I'm just sharing. The guitar, he loves it, now he plays the strings. Soccer, I bought a little soccer ball, I give it to him, now he's holding it with his hands, with his feet, tossing it. It's unbelievable. That's what we do. It's not so many books and why not, but it's just actions. That's what's gonna influence your kid the most.
That's beautiful. So at my workplace, I wasn't there. I think I was on leave at the time, but I was informed. We had like a little talk where a specialist, some doctor, I can't remember in which field, but there was a doctor who he spoke about the misconception of what people have when it comes to parenting. He was saying that parents tend to believe that they must do it all for the child or sacrifice for the child. But they're like, but he was saying, but it's actually the other way around. And what I mean by that is, you're not supposed to deter from the relationship you have with your wife for the sake of your child. Um, Essentially, what needs to happen is your child absorbs what happens around you. So if there's not proper love or passion in the house or with your wife, that's what the child actually picks up. They
What do
actually
you think? What do you think we have in Honduras? Because I cannot talk about the context of South Africa. I can talk more about the U.S. I've been here over 10 years, or Honduras. I was born and raised there. In Honduras, we got a lot of gangs coming out of homes without a father, without a mother, without a healthy relationships. Grandma is there to back up the backbone of the family. That's why we have a matriarchy. But at the same time, we have a patriarchy in regards to the man doing whatever he wants. And so then these kids end up being gangsters, criminals, thugs, corrupt politicians, whatever that is. So I agree with you. Whatever is happening in that environment, it's going to severely impact the life of that kid. When it comes to my spouse, we don't sacrifice each other. We are clear that one day, just like we did, our son will leave us for a woman. We're not gonna have that kid, all the poopy diapers, pee-pee diapers, and everything we changed. It's not gonna matter because there's gonna be one girl here he's gonna go nuts for and leave the house. So we're gonna remain together. So my first most important valued human being in my life is my wife. Second, my son. Maybe you don't agree with me, but second, my son. Doesn't mean that the kid doesn't need the attention. Of course he does. He cannot sustain his life right now.
Correct.
But my wife is my first allegiance. My first allegiance is to my wife, then my kids.
That's actually beautifully correct. Well, I agree with you, Robert. Let me say that because some people might have their own opinions, but I align with that ideology because, how. Yeah. Once again, you live by example. In life we have in English, also in different languages, but in life we have these idioms, these sayings, that are very simple. We learn them growing up, but there's a lot of depth and weight in some of these things. Just like the phrase "live by example." It sounds so common, it's used a lot. It doesn't sound like it holds much, but actually, there's a lot of things that go in there. Live by your actions. Actions mean more than words. Be exemplary so others can learn from you. There's a lot of things where we have these small phrases in life that we actually, as we're young, we don't understand the depth and the weight of them. So I mean, like, I definitely want to be that kind of father. I want to be present. But I've made this very clear to my partner. I've said to her that, I want my child to believe that the sky is the limit. In fact, there is no limit. The reality is that maybe if my son or daughter wants to go to space, let them go. Maybe my son and daughter wants to be a musician, let them be. Maybe my son and our child wants to live be a painter, be a chef, be an investment banker, whatever it is. But what I'll definitely do is I will give them as many options as possible as they're growing up, find out what their strengths are, allow them to do the things they love. Obviously, you can't just let kids just go because as an adult you have insight and things. But I mean in terms of allow them to explore themselves in what they're passionate and what they love, and allow them to grow that seed essentially from a young age. Because I want my kids to understand that in 2020 now, maybe back in the days with our predecessors, our parents, it was a little bit different, but right now the way the world has gone, the possibilities are endless. You can create new industries immediately. You can expand empires. You can, etc., 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 etc. But explore the passions. Live by what you love. Be serious about it. I always said to her, because I also make music. So she said, if your child becomes like you, I'm like, listen, if my child wants to be a musician, I will say to them, go do it. But if you're gonna do this, if you're gonna chase your passion, you better do it well. You better have an aura of brilliance, and an attitude of excellence to say, I want to be one of the greatest in what I do.
Yes.
Painting, cooking, investment banking, politics, music, doesn't matter. I want you to be the absolute best of what you do.
Absolutely. That's something you don't see, and that's a great thought, Neil. something you see issues with families and kiddos here in the United States. They have kiddos in multiple sports. This is just one example.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball, then soccer, then volleyball, and then this. And then for some reason, the kid decides, I don't want to do soccer anymore. I want to go into swimming. So it's great to have the choice. But if you really want to shine your light, you got to focus your mind into one craft at a time. If the swimming, if the chef or the swimming did not work, for instance, I am an entrepreneur. I had my business, Mola Leadership, and it went on, and I helped over 250. No, I think it was a database of over 500 international students, getting them scholarships to American colleges. Then we started to go and help them to go to Europe and Australia. Well, I was done. I'm done with that business. It was a stage of my life. I didn't achieve what I had in mind through all those years. I started to make some sort of profit, and why not? But everything just had to be different because okay, I received this from you because I didn't materialize the vision. So I'm not going to continue to waste my effort and time. Again, it was profitable, but I thought it's not what I envisioned it to be. And it's okay to close a chapter and start a new one. Doesn't mean you're weak. You're just mature to say, this didn't work the way you wanted. Let's go on to the next thing. My next thing is soccer coaching. I'm in soccer coaching. I'm going to do the best I can to professionalize myself to achieve my professional coaching career. And if not, then we'll see what's next. But you got to go one step at a time and not spread yourself too thin.
Would you take the opportunity, if the opportunity was presented to you to coach, like, could be anything, a Milano, Liverpool, Barcelona, or whatever, like one of the big European teams, would you do it?
Obviously you cannot say no to you can say no to those teams, but you got to also look at yourself and ask the question, are you ready to take on that challenge?
Yeah.
Okay. Watch out. I'm not saying are you ready to coach because you're already coaching. I'm already coaching. But if that were the case, am I ready to take on that challenge? Because that's a stress to be in a club that is always expected to win absolutely everything. It's results based.
Yes.
So,
but so the reason I asked that question is because from a coaching perspective, where do you want to go? What to you is the top of what your passion is in coaching?
Sure. Well, my vision is pretty clear at this point. My vision is to continue to professionalize myself and achieve the highest licenses possible. And for that matter, I am with the U.S. Soccer Federation, and also I'm with United Soccer Coaches, the largest global coaching center for coaches in the world, as well as having education abroad. This pandemic has allowed me to gain some new knowledge and get more diplomas from case studies and workshops, conferences online in my language, Spanish, in English, in Portuguese, because my grandpa's Brazilian, so I speak a little bit of Portuguese. So I'm making a lot of connections with professional players from Central America, a coach that is the brother of an Argentinian playing for Brighton in England.
McAllister.
Yeah. So his brother is my friend. He's a coach in Ecuador, Nicolas McAllister. So his friend Alexis McAllister used to play in Boca Juniors. Now he went to Brighton. So see the connections we're making. But to answer the question, my goal right now is to professionalize myself, get educated, continue to coach nonstop, and hopefully achieve. I'm already in college soccer arena, but hopefully can I get a head soccer coaching position in a college to continue to prove myself and then finish MLS soccer coach. That's my vision. MLS soccer coach, just because I am in the US. But if there's an opportunity to coach first division in South Africa, I'll take it.
Lovely. 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 Come play for Mamelodi Sundowns. That's the team in Pretoria.
Oh, Victoria, South Africa.
And
Yeah.
you know what their name is? Their nickname is the Brazilians.
Oh my goodness. What?
I think,
What?
yeah, I'm not too sure why. I think it has to do with their colors. So their colors are yellow and blue.
That's great. I like that.
Absolutely. And you know, for me, um, what I wanted to ask you around passions, especially, and maybe it's a good place to also to end. Passions in today's world, sometimes people can see them as unrealistic, can see them as a waste of time. Go get a job, 9 to 5, get your money. My question to you around passions and you pursuing your passions, what is the conversation you had with your wife? What is the conversation you have with, your parents and your colleagues and peers around, you pursuing your passions? And are you getting the support? What is that?
Very good question. I don't get that question asked very often.
Mm,
Um, to tell you the truth, a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people in my life journey
mm,
say to me, "Oh, you're married? Oh, what a disgrace! You have given your life away. Your singlehood mattered. What happened? You have a wife? Oh my gosh! You have kids? Oh goodness! It's like it's some sort of negative situation to be in, and really, it's not. My family, my wife and son, are my number one priority, but they're my number one supportive system or
mm,
system of support. Let me tell you something. When you are really good at communicating, whatever the relationship is, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, uh, South African international, Honduran international, whatever that is,
mm,
friend, brother, sibling, you got to communicate and you got to set expectations. As soon as we got married, I felt called to coach soccer in a more serious, competitive way.
mm,
I talked with my wife before making the decision and commitment, and I said, Maria, we need to talk. I feel called to do this. I know we just got married, but I really feel, I have a feeling that I should pursue soccer coaching, not only recreationally and why not, but seriously, competitively. Well, of course, my wife said, nobody who just gets married, is going to go out there coach. But the long story short, my friend, is my wife today, this is my third year coaching seriously in club and why not. She told me the other day, soccer has really blessed us. You were right. And I said, can you expand on that for a second? Thanks to coaching, when we had Alexander, out of the sudden, without asking, they made our first baby shower. That's a blessing.
it is.
In both teams, the girls and the boys, we had a lot of gifts for him because of soccer. Another thing, at the end of each season, they would give us gift cards for us to go out on dates, to restaurants, to whatever it is, because they were so happy with what we've done as a team. That's a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've had cards by the kids, handwritten cards with drawings of me playing as a goalkeeper with a huge stadium and people in the back. It was fun, and it was so cute, because these kids, you mean a lot to them. You're just not a coach, you're a motivator, you're a teacher, you're a supporter. And when you receive those blessings, you say, wow, my gut feeling was right, and it is a blessing. It really was a blessing. It was the right decision. And by the way, you're not going to be rich by coaching youth soccer, but it's become now an important second stream of passive income that we didn't have. Because now my wife was a chef, but now she's a full-time mom. And now, thanks to soccer, we're able to supply what she was bringing in, kind of. So one important thing that I can leave you with, guys, is count your blessings, because you are always being blessed, no matter what.
That's crazy. So So I'm not saying this is all I took from the story, but what stuck out for me as well is, so your wife is used to be a chef. So that means the food is good at home in the Mariah's household.
I married a chef.
That's awesome, but no, but seriously, so the reason I asked that question, it's important because, I think similar, I'm sure it's similar in Central America as well, because I realize our cultures can cross-reference each other many a times. There's this thing in Africa, in South Africa, where, our parents had this, from the best intentions, had this thing of trying to drive. You need to get a proper job. You need to become a lawyer, you need to become an accountant, a doctor, etc., etc. Get a job, find a wife, get married, have kids, have a house, build a career, etc., etc., and it goes on. And then when you have these other passions that are at the time were unusual, from the norm, from music to DJing, which is also part of music, but to painting, to football, to coaching, to whatever it may be. It's always like, this is not a serious job. So, we had this lack of support, but I don't think, once again, I always try to zone in to say, I came from the best place. It came from the best place. They
But
don't.
who's telling you that? Who's telling you? Who's telling you that being an artist, or being a choreographer, painter, musician, singer, chef, who says that's not profitable or rewarding? I mean, I have my drums as a hobby. I went to two music schools, and I told my father, I want to study in America at Berklee College of Music, where John Mayer, where Stevie Wonder went. And I remember I cried the first time I went in there to Harvard, and then in front of Berkeley in Boston, Massachusetts. I was crying because my idols in music were there, had studied there. But my dad told me that this was not gonna make me a living, give me a living, make a living. I was not gonna make a living on this. So I had to say no to this dream, and it was so painful and hard. And then when it comes to soccer, being a soccer player, I guess I was close to being a professional soccer player because of that contract. I was a semi-professional / professional, and that contract came through, and then I said no to it. I said no to it. So that was another kind of like a cancellation of a dream. I also received the same speech from my dad. My dad. It's interesting how society works, huh?
You're
It's
right.
ironic. Your parents sometimes are the motivators. Dream big, dream big. And then there's this age, 16, 17, 18, before going to college. You got to go to college. You got to look for a job. Well, what happened to a dream you were asking me to dream just a few years ago? That was just BS. BS. I don't understand that there's a double standard. So here, point in question would be, who says that by being married? Who says that by being a parent? Who says that by working 2 jobs, 3 jobs because the economy sucks, you can't pursue your aspirations? Listen, if you just give your dreams one chance, maybe you're not going to end up being Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi. You're not going to end up Stevie Wonder, John Mayer, whatever it is. You're not going to end up that particular situation you'd like to be to find yourself in. But maybe those dreams can give your life a foundation of purpose. And whether you're pursuing this one, maybe what really needs to happen will come next to you. And that's what I like about life, because you have these expectations, preconceived expectations about this would make me happy. But we have a human nature. We get there and we're like, well, I want more. And what really makes you happy? So anyways, pursue your dreams no matter what stage of life. But pursue it one at a time. And while you're pursuing that, maybe you won't end up where you want, but something better can happen. Just like it happened with me. I'm working at a global commercial real estate company because of coaching, because a parent saw that I was looking for a job, approached me and said, "Do you know about this company?" I said, "Yes." "Well, I just want you to know you're very professional at what you do, and I would like to give you a job." Turns out the father is the vice president of this company.
Hey.
That's another blessing. So I'm just telling you guys, don't let the situation or circumstance or people, toxic people, say to you, "You can't do it. You can't pursue it. You're tied up. You have kids. You're in here." Whatever it is, the excuse. Just do it. Just try and do it and commit to it. It takes hard work, but just do it.
That is that's presidential.
Hopefully this is of value to someone. That's my hope. That's it. Maybe one person, but as long as it comes across.
I hope so,
Yeah.
and then you'll see it later. But you'll see that the background that I put for this specific episode were above the clouds, soaring in the air. So I felt like how you ended today was absolutely perfect. my my friend, thank you so much for your
Absolutely.
time, for your wisdom, for your love, for your care. Much love to you and your family and all your other loved ones. We will definitely speak again. We'll keep in touch. I'll
Yes.
definitely be back in the States at some point, and when I do, I'll definitely give you a call. And when you're here, give me one too.
For sure. I just want to say farewell real quick. First of all, thank God that I was able to reconnect with you. Thank you for the opportunity to be in the show. It was like home. It was like old times. Looking at each other in the library or the cafeteria and having fun, or in our dorms,
Uh-huh.
So this was very pleasant. I am very proud of you for putting this together. Keep pursuing your dreams. I love that last song. What's the name of that song you posted a couple months, 3 months ago?
I must check. I think it's I know. Do doom.
Yes,
Do
I
do do
know.
do
I know.
doom. Yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah. But I just want to say thank you, Neil. Man, you're prime minister to me all the way. And everybody, if you have any questions, just go ahead and follow my crazy life journey in social media. My two last names, Mo Reyes Melara, at Mo Reyes Melara, or look for me, Alex J. Moraes. Yeah, just hit me up and let me know if I can help you somehow. I love to connect with new people. Neo, you're awesome. God bless you, my brother.
You too,
See ya.
brother. Enjoy.